Mr. Evans, how are your boys doing?
Good,
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Good.
Did
yeah,
they get to make it home for Christmas?
yeah, they were home. We are live. Whoops. Okay.
To make it home for Christmas.
Up. Let me turn that. Yeah, Calvin was home longer than he probably wanted to be. Um, because he studied in Italy and then he came back and it was right before Thanksgiving. And so he's been home a long time. Yeah,
Well, what an experience.
he was working as a part-time custodian for the Sabetha school
Yeah.
during that time. And so he was ready to go.
Todd?
Oh, good, Julie, how are you? It's good to see you. Thanks for being
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much.
I want to hit you up. I have a question. Yeah.
Yeah, coming down to it. Yeah,
Sorry.
Give me the boot. That's wonderful.
perfect. Look at it, go home.
Thank you for setting me up.
No, it's okay.
It's okay to be asked to leave a meeting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem going home.
Kidding, yeah, no, kidding, yeah, me. Absolutely directed me like that. Yeah, shoot, yeah.
Do we have a sign-in sheet here?
We do.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
How did that one sixth grade girls go?
They did their kids were a ton. Like, they're starting to learn, like a little more defense, a little more offense. The coaching, hell, they don't understand. So they have two groups going, and they got some good ones on each side. So they're letting them play stuff, and they were playing Lewiston. Lewiston has a couple older girls, skaters on there, and they were tied with a minute left. And I was like, get your other two good girls in. Put your other two good girls in. Because last time they played them, they got beat by them.
Oh, God.
So they played really, really well. Coming back, and then they went in overtime, and they ended up losing by 4 points in overtime. And they did fantastic job.
Oh, that's
Wait, I have no idea.
start the season already.
Yeah, they listen had that. They have one girl that but I don't. They let play
Awesome
in
kids.
sixth grade, but she plays on the
Hot roundup. There's a thing on the agenda that's gonna be
Season.
interesting.
So we all should.
Yeah, I don't know how-
When we're back here.
She's seventh grade and plays
She plays junior
Seventh?
high, I know,
Oh.
and she plays down, and there's two of them, I think, that play that way, I think. I don't know.
I know.
I've never been to a city.
At one point, they were letting their sixth graders play junior high.
Junior high.
But
Once in a while, it
But
could be
I don't
like
know.
That might actually be the case, so maybe she just plays with.
I say it out loud confident. I'm like,
Junior high, so she gets a little.
Yeah.
She's really good, like,
Yeah.
so she just stands, she's taller than everybody, so. Cause she has it figured out, like, get the ball, don't bring it down, turn and shoot,
Yeah.
So she scores all the points typically, so, but they put their bigger girls, like taller girls on her a little more, like leverage her a little more, and they focused a little more on that. So they did a really, really good job. I pretty see the improvement. I haven't seen them for a little bit. I didn't go to like the last time that they played, and I haven't seen, it's been several weeks, and from the last time I've seen them play until now, even my own daughter is playing like.
Yeah.
I
Good.
opened my thing, I saw my note, bring back.
No one
container.
that is half of it, they get to the age of, getting aggressive, trying to steal the ball, like when somebody passes, they're trying to pick it off, like, and stuff like that. I think it was just like this, and dribble around, and you gotta stop them.
Yeah.
No, don't tackle them, not that stop,
Yeah. Exciting to see it all.
Yeah,
A little.
sure is. All right, everybody, it is 6 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order and I need a motion to declare an open meeting.
I make motion to defer meeting.
Second. Motion by Bobby, second by Mark to declare an open meeting. Voting Mark? Yes. Jason, yes. Hannah?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Hope is absent. Julia?
Yes.
We are in open session right now. We welcome our visitors to the meeting tonight. As per the law, the Board of Education does adhere to the Open Meeting Act, and a copy of that act is posted on the wall to my right. This meeting has been properly advertised according to policy and the Nebraska Opens Meetings Act. We'll review the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Motion by Bobby, second by Mark to approve the consent agenda. Bobby, do you have any comments or questions? Mark, do you? Nope. Hannah or Julia?
No.
I do not have any myself, so we'll go ahead and we'll vote. Jason, yes. Hannah?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yeah.
Hope is absent. Julia?
Yes.
And Mark? Yes. Motion carried unanimously. At this time, we'll open up the floor for public comment. Anybody? All right, we'll go ahead and hearing none, we'll go ahead and we'll move on. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, I wasn't following the actual agenda. We'll go ahead and we'll go to the fiscal year 2025 audit report. Sorry, I jumped ahead one.
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to be here. You bet. I'm Julie Bauman, from Falls City, and I performed your annual school audit here. We kind of started late summer and worked on it up until finished it, issued it here that first part of November, and issued it then electronically to the state before November 5th. Came in and worked with Stephanie for the AFR report, which was due basically on Halloween on October 31st, November 1st. So just had a really great experience. We performed quite a few schools. We really enjoy working with schools throughout all of Southeast Nebraska, clear up to our farthest one goes up to Palmyra. And so we worked for quite a few. I was going to visit tonight a little bit before we go into the PowerPoint, look at what an audit is and kind of what my job is and what we really want to relay to the board members. And so an audit definitely is not an audit of every single transaction of the school. It's risk-based approach. And so every fund is opined upon separate, which school audits are probably my favorite. They're considered cash basis. So it's very much cash in, cash out. Everything's coded according to Nebraska Department of Education's rulings. So they have a very strict code structure. So it makes it very not easy to audit, but it should be very easy to follow. And a lot of the schools have the same types of programs, definitely all the same types of funds. So when we are looking at whether it's general fund or the lunch fund or depreciation fund or building or any other funds that you have, we're really auditing them separately. And then we're going to issue an opinion on those funds by themselves. So you get what's called an opinion as far as plural opinions. But what something happened in one fund that doesn't really reflect on any of the other funds. So I do like how they've changed our audit process to that level, up to this risk-based approach. So what we do internal control testing, which we're looking at how things are generated, how things are approved, approval process, what are the chains of command, what are the different steps taken, what's the record retention, what's your coding structure, and then we go into compliance. So compliance for a school can be very different levels. It could be from payroll reporting. Payroll is a very big expenditure of a school district. So payroll reporting is basically your payroll deposits, your EFTPSs, your matching of your Social Security and your Medicare taxes, making sure those are done on time from all the quarterly filings, all the annual filings, and then we get into federal reports. So federal reports are going to be anything from whether it's federal grants or your state grants for special education grants. Are they being done correctly and are they being done on? So we kind of accumulate all of our data. When we came in this late summer, we did walkthroughs since your school was new to us and really just wanted to see kind of how everything was transacting, how things were being reconciled, and very pleased on a lot of things that your school had in place already. And definitely bank recs were being done on time, bank recs were being done correctly. backup documentation on the district level at Stephanie's office. She's very good at detailed documentation, detail receipt keeping. You have a lot of purchases that could affect multi codes throughout, whether it's elementary, middle school, or high school education, and things to that nature that you just can't dump those into one account code. You really have to do a lot of analysis and splitting. We really looked at the budget. We wanted to see, what's in your budget, how are you budgeting? Are you budgeting enough? What's your levies looking like? And then really is that being compared? So the next thing we do is really look, what's the board do? And the board's a big component of our audit. And I don't know if anyone's ever told you that, how important the board is. We read all your minutes. What we're really doing is looking at what you're looking at. Are you approving the claims? Are you looking at the treasurer's report? Are you getting that data to be able to make sound decisions? Are you looking through the budget? And we made a few suggestions of different things we'd like more transparent for the board. And that's the general fund was always coming to the board, but we wanted all the funds to come to the board. And I think that's, even if they're like a non-taxing or non-levying fund, just as important as your general fund. And because you guys are really, when everything's approved for the claims and for the expenditures and then for the final budget approval, we're really coming to the board and looking to see, your commentary, your voting, and to see that you're actually given that data so you can assess it and make good decisions. And so we're pleased. I think your minutes were very good. I think they were very helpful to us. They were very detailed. I think we just wanted to stress tonight, or I did a little bit more about how important your role is and the whole control structure of the school. So the control structure definitely is a lot of approval processes that happen daily that you see maybe very little of because you're given the final product. You're given the treasurer's report, you're getting the bank recs, you're seeing, what the actual, budget comparison to actual looks like. But the actual daily approvals, we were pleased to see, things are not just sent out without a second signature or approval. Purchase orders are being used, which is really good. And you have a purchase order levels, which we thought was very good to have. So we see controls in place. And I think a couple of our suggestions that we had highlighted, just on my little handwritten notes, was basically preliminary payroll check register. So preliminary payroll check registers, it's just your check run. Stephanie gets everything put together, has everything ready. And then it's really more, we have every school do this. It's like just sign off on the payroll check register because everything gets coded out for that teacher for their grade level, for they had extra duty, anything like that. And, so we came in the summer to make a few suggestions. Stephanie already had a lot of things implemented when we came back, and it was mid-September, which is great. And we recommended two on W4s. So the W4s is what everybody has to fill out. A lot of times it's not mandatory that it's annual, that you fill one out annually. But the W4 system changed probably 2 years ago when the form got completely revamped and made it very difficult, I think, to understand it and fill it out, and was kind of set for failure. And Stephanie was having, kind of some anxiety about it. And I told her, I said, it'd be really good to, have a process with the W4s or, a big memo maybe that goes out to all the teachers to, really reevaluate their W4s and look at that. So that's basically what federal withholding they would like to have on their paychecks and such. So that was, a very good conversation. We've had more than a couple secretaries for the schools that have had issues with their W4s. Our one suggestion was, you have some internal checking accounts and charge accounts, just your local, that would be like your purchase orders. And, just really to have some levels of controls with the PO system, whether that's, duplicate signature sign offs or set a threshold that you feel is still enable them to purchase supplies and different things needed, but just a little more double checks that what they're ordering is what the school needs or that it's been approved. So not a ton of suggestions. We were excited to see everything you did have in place for not really ever being able to see your school district until this summer. The budget, Todd just came in the summer. So it's and when superintendents transition in, you're kind of already inundated with the last year budget and the new budget. So new. One thing with your budget, I think that Stephanie, when we visited, we like to see the budget document transferred over to the actual software system in the accounting system. So then it's a double check. So you have your budget document that's set to the state, and then you have your internal accounting software where it has every single detail, just hundreds of lines of account codes. And so Stephanie went ahead and she put all of the budget line items on your new budget into the new software so that now you can have a comparison of budget to actual. So we'd like for the board to be able looking at that, really seeing, where are you at on your budget? Is your budget making sense? And now she could produce a report for that. Where before, I don't know if you'd ever really seen budget to actual comparisons of any sort. I think it's a good reporting for the board members to be in tune to, especially as you advance through the year, here we're already to January, tax collections we're probably pretty strong for the end of December. So your tax collection deposit for January is probably good, just to kind of see if you're on track for collections, let alone on the revenue side, but then also to see, how close you are to your actual compared to budget on your expenditures. So Stephanie's already got that in the computer. She was just very excited to really look at that part of the program. I think she's been here, how many years now?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Too many.
No, 3, maybe?
I was thinking maybe 3. Yeah. Five,
Oh.
4. Yeah.
Okay,
And so it was really good to, what we could, highlight for her of what we see with other secretaries, that have been in this same type of software. She's got a good network of other secretaries she deals with for questions, which is great. So it's good. We're very pleased on that. So we'll get started on our PowerPoint. So you guys got our audit report back in November, and tonight at your board meeting, I had 2 school districts I presented. So next year we'll make that 3 different ones that I'll present on that November. We'll get that all lined up. So our audit report is basically broken down into different sections, and it's a little boilerplate. The audit report basically talks about our audit opinion is now the first paragraph. The next paragraph talks about then responsibilities of the school, and then it talks about responsibilities of the auditor. Then our statement of financial position is your balance sheet that will be in an audit report. The statement of activities is actually like your income statement. They don't call them the terminology we're used to hearing. It's a little bit different in the government world. And then our notes to financial statements, and then we have supplemental schedules in the back. So what I tell all board members is if you really want to see the detail, if you're like, see, well, what does the lunch fund do, or what's in the building fund, you go always to the back of the report, and you will see in the supplementary information that really kind of highlights all of the detail. And every school follows the same account codes. And so if you wanted to compare county city school to a relatively same size district, if they had the same type of valuation as far as for their budget, you could really do some benchmarking analytics for school districts because we all follow the same type of account code. And so in our audit report on page 18, if you have your book, if you don't worry. But the main thing is you have 30 plus pages probably here. I would say we probably have, we have 33 pages to this report. And it's a lot to read through if you start to finish, but page 18 is a really good page because I'm a very analytical person. I like to compare where were you at last year, where did you go, and where did you end? And so to me, this is probably my favorite page out of all my school audits. So on page 18, it just highlights every fund, and it'll start with your beginning fund balance. So a fund balance is basically, for most accounts, it's just your checking account. Or if you had a CE or an investment. But for the general fund, your fund balance, a large part of your fund balance is your county treasurer balance. And so if you read across, it really just shows year-to-date recap of receipts, year-to-date recap of expenditures, and if there's any transfers going in and out. And usually we see transfers going in and out of the general fund. And so probably what is a very good highlight point is on your excess of receipts or disbursements. So you'll see on the general fund, it had an increase of $118,916. So we had a positive increase in cash, which is good. The fund did not go down into a deficit. The fund did not have a loss in funding. And so you ended with a higher cash and fund balance by that 118,000. So what this is good at is just a real good glimpse of the general fund stayed very cash fluid. You know, your county treasurer balance was $375,970 at the end of the year. And the 35,000 that got transferred out went into then your activity fund. So as you just kind of read down, you'll see all the other cash balances for all the funds. And on our school nutrition fund, so we did have a loss on that this year. It was $29,102. And that was very much, I'm going to say statewide. Every lunch fund this year that we dealt with, we did 9 other schools, everyone had a deficit. It's just kind of, I think, the fallout from a lot of federal funding for the last, 2020, 21, 22, and costs, a little bit higher cost of food. Definitely, we're seeing those effects with the lunch fund. So pre-pandemic and doing school audits, even, in 2015 to 2018 through 2019, most lunch funds would get transfers from their general fund. Most would not, actually like have a year-end profit. So the fact that the school nutrition fund had a deficit and earnings for the year, I think it's something that just has to be watched. You certainly got to see, what's budgeted for that fund, what can it maintain, or is there any unforeseen expenditure that would make it, lose even more money. But we see a lot of times schools of this size are going to transfer anywhere from 20,000 to 30,000 to their lunch fund annually. So it wasn't a huge surprise to us that it did have a deficit. Lunch fund was reconciled, activity fund reconciled. We were very happy with the bank recs, definitely. And Todd and I were talking. So the same person that's doing a lot of the work within those funds with the reporting and getting the checks ready is also doing the bank recs. So we don't have an accounting system of personnel where we have multiple levels of people that can segregate the duties. So you don't have a person that can take the money to the bank that's separate from the person doing the checks, from then that person collecting the money, from that person then doing the bank rec. So what happens is, what we like to see is the detail of second review, whether it's from the superintendent before that report's final. And then we see the board where you guys will get now all the bank reconciliations. You'll get your board report that's going to have all the activity fund and the lunch fund and the general fund now. So you're looking at to see that they're keeping the books up to date. You're looking to see the categories, and you're also looking to see that it's been reconciled. So to me, that's kind of then our third party outside check to see that even though we have the same person doing that reconciliation, it's definitely cost prohibitive for schools of even a little larger size of Pawnee to try to hire extra accounting staff to try to filter in more levels of personnel just to have more levels of internal controls. I think the control structure is really just then having outside people, which could be Todd, just signing off every month. They get the bank rec done before they submit it for the board report. You're double checking it, making sure when they're up to date, making sure that it does reconcile back to the outstanding checks and to the bank balance. I think that's a really good inside internal control check that would be very beneficial. So my page 18, kind of getting back to that, on the QPUF fund, there was just some other bigger expenditures that came out. The QPUF fund had money in it from previous years that was allocated for capital outlay. So to see where that one had a deficit for the year, that was expected. It was more on capital expenditures on that. All right. So other pages behind page 18, this gives you all the documents. And I'm not going to go through all the numbers tonight. We're going to really talk a little bit more on the audit report and the audit opinions. But as far as if there's things that you're really wanting to look at, whether it's on general fund revenues, general fund expenditures, or any of the funds, the detail starts on page 19. And we'll go clear to the back of the report until you get to the final orders. All right, so we'll talk a little bit more on the PowerPoint of what we'll do. So audit opinion. So our first letter in the audit report definitely highlights about 1.5 pages of wording, but it talks about that it's a cash basis report. What we issue and render is an opinion on all the funds. And the best opinion available, which is a clean opinion, is called unmodified. And so that means we didn't have to make any other types of adjustments that were material to the financial statements. The financial statements were generally accepted accounting principles were all in accordance. So in our opinion, the financial statements are not materially misstated, which is great. Then we have an in relation to opinion. So that's kind of the back of the report. And that's what we looked at, that page 18 on back. So the back report has to tie first to the front. And the back of the report, when I sit down and I help Stephanie with the AFR reporting, the back of the report is a mirror image of that AFR. And the AFR report is all through the Department of Education. That's their big report that has to be uploaded November 1st. They want to see all that detailed data. So they have that. So when they get ready in, I think February, to finalize out the state aid formula, they're taking that right off of those pages 18 all the way through page 30. So our cash on hand, I had a couple other notes. So our cash on hand, so this is cash on hand district wide. So with the front of the report, it's very much called the government wide. It's everything together. And so the balance sheet is your statement of net assets. So your cash on hand government wide was $3,825,751. And so this is every fund. This is from lunch fund, general fund, all the way down to the QPUF fund. And inside that number, the 3,825,751 is your county treasurer balance. The biggest part of your county treasurer balance is your general fund. And that had 382,676 in it. So with just the snapshot of the whole school picture, there was an increase in cash of $92,046. So not a huge increase in cash. And part of that, the QPUF fund had that bigger expenditure, which had about 116,000 more in expenses. But overall, district-wide increase in cash of $92,046. All right. So on the general fund, so the depreciation fund is like, just think of it like the right arm and the beach. So you have the depreciation fund, and you guys don't have an employee benefit fund. That'd be like the left arm of the general fund. But the depreciation fund is really just like a capital savings account. It's meant to probably buy buses, maybe some other technological equipment. The board can designate funds to go into that depreciation fund. And so cash on hand for depreciation fund was the $374,555. And it had an increase of $230. So that was good when you're kind of reserving your funds, for future capital outlay. When you do your budget, it's all reconciled. The state won't let you stockpile a lot of cash in your depreciation funds. They'll let you put enough for major capital outlay, but you just can't, put too much in there. So then your special building fund had $601,386, and it had an increase in cash of $62,132, which was good. It has a little bit of a tax levy, I think, that goes in it for your building fund. Your main tax levy authority, of course, is your general fund. And then we'll go to your school nutrition fund. So the school nutrition fund at the end of August had $144,084. So that was where it had the decrease of $29,102. So as a board member, what I would be wanting to look at is, okay, this was August. So that balance sheet was good for 1 day. And that's it. That's the only bad thing about balance sheets. The next day is a new day. So as far as if you're looking at your treasurer's reports now, how is your lunch fund doing? How's the collections? How's the food cost? Just different things that would be good questions. Because like I said before, it's like you guys are the watchdogs of the financial numbers. And, every 30 days, these numbers are rolling back in front of you for you to look at. And, and really, not that one fund's more important than another and than any other one, but it's good to see if something is decreasing, then you ask the questions, well, is there a certain thing, is there a certain reason? Is it more collections, or is there maybe the oven went out or the stove or something? Maybe there's capital outlay for certain funds. So I don't really know where your lunch fund's at today, but I don't want you to think that Pawnee City is the only one having that issue. It's literally every school we're dealing with is having a very difficult time, and trying to see what that means is that it's always gonna, need general fund support. And like I said, pre-COVID for years, we would have schools that would have X amount of dollars have to go to their lunch funds. And when we see that number getting too high for transfers from a general fund to a lunch fund, then we get a little nervous as to, well, what can be rectified? What can be changed? What's something different with operations that can maybe alleviate that so it's not as big of a transfer. So on the next slide. So on our accounting policies, so our footnotes, start about page 11. But on our accounting policies, everything's cash basis. So we're mandated with the state of Nebraska. We're one of about the only schools in the United States that have a cash basis school district system. Omaha Public School is co-accrual, like a big corporation. But schools for the rest of the 230 some districts are all cash basis, which makes the reports and the back of the report, when you start on that page 18, can't hide anything. Always cash in and cash out. And it's, there's no depreciation, there's no receivables, no payables. So when you're looking at whether it's your treasurer's report or you're looking at the year-end audit report, it's very transparent and it's very telling what happened for the last, 12 months of a school. So I've especially enjoyed, my school audits, because you want to compare a 5-year historical or even just a 2-year historical, or compare two different schools. You can really gain a lot of analytics since it's such cash basis. Management is definitely responsible, and you are considered management for setting appropriate accounting principles in place. A lot of that comes down from Nebraska Department of Education. We have what's called Rule 1, Rule 2, and Rule 8. And all three of those rules basically talk about, we're supposed to have funds called the general fund, the building fund, the lunch fund, the QPUF fund, and then it goes into the different coding structures that we're supposed to have. So there's not a lot of new accounting policies that you have to assign upon and also now get a code book out and read. But it's pretty generic for all schools. Nebraska is statewide for our accounting policies. Then back a couple years ago, GASB 84 came out because our activity funds have always been considered like a fiduciary. So fiduciary would be a fund that holds money for, another person. And I always thought, well, yeah, it's a fiduciary fund. You're holding it for the class of, 2030, or you're holding all this money, and you're holding money for the football team and for the cheerleaders and everything. So GASB 84 decided, no, we don't want to have that considered a fiduciary anymore. And so now it's called a general fund. Doesn't really account for anything differently, how it's formatted into the report and how it's formatted in the back of the report than going up to NDE for the AFR is a little bit different. It'll still have the same line items that you'll see for all the different accounts that you're holding for, whether it's, music, band, choir, football, volleyball, but it's now considered general fund. And so no fiduciary fund. So all right, we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so on our scheduled findings and question costs, so there's two different levels of findings. So there's material weaknesses or there's significant deficiencies. And I think they both sound terrible. It's like, how could there be two that are different? So material weaknesses, basically, if we found something that, a couple times it just fell through the cracks and just, you didn't catch it, but it wasn't systemic, it just didn't continually keep happening. And we felt that it warranted a finding because it was material enough in dollars. So at the very beginning of my presentation, I talked a little bit about our recommendations. So I think some really good just thought process recommendations to bring more transparency to the board, more reporting of the budget, more sign-offs, before payrolls, sent out the door, different things like that, that's not a material weakness, not a significant deficiency. It's just, I think, an add-on of another layer. And even just coming tonight to really talk to the board about really putting in the back of your minds about how important your role is to me, and to the state, and how you're the watchdogs. So I don't feel like anything was missed or materially unstated. I just think there's a few things that can be added to the processes you're doing now, which is, so we had no material weaknesses. The significant deficiencies would be, it was systemic. It was, no bank rec done for the whole year, no treasurer's report, things like that. So we didn't have anything to that level at all. We feel definitely, and I don't really say feel, we were shown and can see and actually had the physical backup and documentation to know reporting was done, books were reconciled on time, reports were filed, and compliance, was approved. So yeah, so we are very happy to say no internal control findings and no compliance findings. It was great.
Yeah, thank you. So if I might add, so the additional copies of the documents that were provided, that's an example of something we've been doing that's new this year. Previously, like Julie said, everything would be done at the end of the year. It wasn't being done monthly. And I think that this is something that's just really positive as far as monitoring where we are within our different accounts. So, but it's also hard for our personnel to get used to that additional requirement. And so that's part of why these weren't included with your packets.
And I think, we sat down, all the staff members that, have controls for checking accounts and have to do the bank recs or have to keep the receipt keeping process. And, all staff members were excellent as far as being very, just, and we could tell because would have been here, I think, first part of August, and then came back in September a month later, and they're like, oh yeah, I've been getting that done, or I've added that, and just very positive attitude, which was so great to see. And like I said, everything we had is definitely a suggestion to more or less, add to the financial reporting we're already doing. And I think it's always good, I always like to go to anything I do, I always like to see, well, what am I not seeing? What's not there. And because they have great stuff that they were doing. So yeah, that's good. So our other matters, so we do have 2 letters. So once we issue the audit report, we have 2 other letters that basically are for the audit file of the school, and they're called other matters. And they started this process on the audit process more than a few years ago. And it just basically that we highlight if we had any disagreements with management, did we have any difficulties that we encountered? Because it's nothing that would go inside the audit report, but it's just like a management letter that really talks about the whole audit process. And yeah, or if we had to hire another consultant, if something that came up that just required a different specialist. So we had no instances of anything that gave us any disagreements. We got along with management perfectly, and no difficulties for getting the audit done, especially with the new school and prep work. Usually we start working on our schools when school gets out, like, in May. so we got June, all of July. And so this one was a lot more work in the month of August, but it just came together very well. And for it to come together very well, you have to have your numbers in good order. And so that was good. All right. Well, so our supplementary information, so what the supplementary information is again, that in relation to opinion. So we issue the opinion on the front of the report, then we issue our in relation to opinion on the back of the report. Well, that's supplementary information. And so it's just accompanying to the back of the report. So on that, there's still a lot of auditing process, because to me, that's the detail. The back of the report to me is making sure all those codes look good. Everything's where it needs to be. It's called basically in relation to opinion. I put a lot of weight on it because the Nebraska Department of Education, they want it to match to the penny. But it's an in relation opinion to the audit of the whole financials as a whole. We have to reconcile the back of the report to the front of the report. It's all important altogether, but it's, it's just different how they say it's supplemental, and I think it's very important. So that's all that is on that one. And definitely huge thank you for reaching out to us and asking us to do your audit this year. We were very happy when we got the call, and like I said, we really enjoy doing the schools. We got a great staff. We have like 5 people that help on the audits now. And the audit process went exceptionally good. I was very pleased with, not really knowing anything, like I said, about your district and coming in, and we were very well welcomed, and it was really, was a good process. So I'm going to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate you
Yeah.
coming and explaining your report.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
Definitely.
makes a lot more sense now
Mhm.
from
Uh-huh.
now than what it had been in years past. So, like, we were just handed.
Yeah.
And
When we had the copy of your last year, and I told Lydia, I said, we're gonna stick with our format because it's very much more to the point. And you can add a lot of fluff, and a lot of times then everything gets lost in
Yeah.
translation. And I'm very, like I said, I like the analytics, and you gotta do exactly what the state wants to get them their data. And so, yeah, that's why I thought tonight would be really good. So it's an overwhelming report, even just a 1 week view compared to your last year report. It's very- That was
Yeah.
much. But if you ever need anything, or need to get a hold of me, I have a lot of board members that do give me calls throughout the year. Things come up that you just want to visit about, not in an open session, you can give me an individual call is fine. We'll start the audit process again. Probably, like I said, when school gets out, we do a lot of the lunch fund in the summer and the activity fund in the summer. And then we'll do our interim testing on the expenditures kind of through May, June, and July. So we'll be in and out and picking up records. So if you ever need anything, or because budget process will start next summer, and there'll be a lot to your budget. So feel free to contact me anytime.
Thank you so much.
What's easier, city or the school?
Oh, schools. The schools to me are easier. And the city has done very well. They have very good books too. But I think the schools where you deal with just kind of really 5 to 6 funds instead of so many funds. Yeah, and the schools are very much, you're held to really accountable on the code structure. So there's not a lot of moving numbers around.
Right.
So yeah, no, it's a good both are good audit processes. Schools I really enjoy. Definitely. Really. Awesome. Well, you guys have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on with the agenda, we have our employment. Approved recommendations and request.
No certified staff, at this time to report.
Right.
It's good news.
Perfect. All right, going on to our informational reports. We'll start with the counselor's report. Mrs. Bledsoe, whenever you're ready.
Okay, college visits before break. I took a small group of students to the gap year program at Bay High. It was really, really interesting. It wasn't quite what we were expecting, but the kids still enjoyed getting to see it, and just a different kind of post-secondary education. And then on January 21st, we're going to do a double visit. We're going to hit Concordia and then also West End in one day. We were planning to go to Concordia before break. It got really busy with one out, so we just pushed it. So it was fine. Leadership teams, those kids are absolutely awesome. We're going to continue our work from the first semester. It is School Board Appreciation Month, so my kindness crew wrote handwritten notes for all of you guys. So I tried to put it in order as you guys go around. So yeah, they worked hard on this one.
Thank you.
And then SEC courses, those began today. We have over 77 seats filled, and that's an increase from last month. I think we had 74, so up 3. The beginning of SEC courses are always super nerve-wracking for the kids. But once they start, they're like, okay, this isn't as bad as what I thought it was. So we just have to print out their course identification documents, print out their syllabuses, kind of get them going, get them comfortable. CNA is starting this week. Their first meeting is tomorrow. That is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, our 8th and 9th hour. Very excited for that. their last day of class is April 30th, then they have their state testing. The district did not have to pay for books, uniforms, or gloves. That was sponsored by an organization. So Kelsey Johnson is the instructor, having it at the hospital. And then with that, Julie Hobbaker and I worked together to have shadowing be a part of that. I think the kids have about 7 to 8 dates where they will shadow different departments and visit. And then something that I got to attend through ESU and Perkins Funds was the ACTE conference in Nashville. That is just the Association of Career and Technical Education. It is always a great conference. So I went to a lot of sessions, went to the expo hall, brought back some curriculum and resources for our teachers. And then I just wrote the sessions that I attended. Some of them that I found really good was teaching problem solving when there's no right answer, because so many kids come into my office wanting to know like what is the right thing to do. I'm like, okay, we don't know, but there's no right answer. Let's just kind of go with it and talk things through. Senior exit interviews was really good. I think I sent those session notes to Derek and I was like, this is something that we can do. We already have U Science, and I think that we can really use that more to our advantage so the kids can make more of a portfolio to demonstrate their skills and their growth throughout high school. The facilitator's edge was really good as well. We've done so much work with our strategic planning and our growing in our facilitation of those meetings. I found that one really great. Then I went to Small Town, Big Impact, Rural Strategies for Work-Based Learning. The conference tried to focus on like rural schools, but when I would go to those sessions, they're like, oh, we're a rural school of 4,000. And okay, how can I take a little bit from it and learn from that? So that one was very good. Reverse Career Fair, I went to that one again, just to get some more information of how I can modify mine to make it better. And then the high school toolkit for developing professional skills, just how me make the professional skills go across the curriculum. That was just not on any one teacher. So it was a very, very good conference. I really enjoyed it. And then our 8th grade careers class, they are fantastic. We're off to a great start. We're using U Science again, that is strengths and attitudes, and we're just looking at the potential careers. Right now we're working on like values and making sure that your path matches your values, essentially. And then I have a grant through Education Quest. So we are actually going to go on 2 college career visits. We're going to hit UNO and Love, Nebraska. The kids are very excited to see Love, Nebraska in that facility. And then March 31st, we're going to go to SEC Lincoln and then also UNL Engineering. So the kids are very excited about this. Love, Nebraska?
Yeah.
Yes. My sister-in-law is the vice president of marketing for them. So I was able to kind of use that connection there. They're hoping they get to see the players, so.
I like it that you're starting that in 8th grade. So I think when I was in school, it wasn't until like 10th, we had to do this, you know, like aptitude tests.
And it's a good age to start because they're just so excited about it. And then I think they kind of start to realize like, okay, what I do as a freshman really does matter. Right. You know, for sure. So they are doing fantastic. And this one, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Did Derek leave a principal's report? Okay, we'll skip over the principal's report and we'll go into the superintendent's report.
Just a few things that I wanted to share with the board. I shared just, this is kind of from my notes more than to provide you with an email that I'd received. This is from my contact with NDE with 21st Century Community Grants. Talking about what we can spend, what's available for this summer for the possibility of summer school, and $16,800 that we can use toward summer school. I am hoping to move forward with that. I don't have a budget yet. And I do think I'm doing round numbers in my head, which is usually where I start. I do think that there would be a need to kick in some money from the district. So I think that's going to be a question that comes up to the board in the future as we talk about the possibility of doing a summer school. Because it's literacy based, I'm hoping that we can do some work, especially with our elementary teachers, with our new ELA materials. They're going to have to do it anyway. At some point, they're going to have to get that in their hands and do some work with that. So I'm hoping that we can use this process and some of these funds along with that. And it would be a benefit. It would last about, if we do it, approximately 6 weeks long. My idea is it would be 4 days a week with Fridays off. 8:30 until 1:30 would be the hours, something like that. So and that would be available for all students. Now, we can take the high school credit recovery program and make it a part of this. And which opens up another revenue stream that's been a cost to the district in the past. But I think there's some real possibilities with this. I think it's worth taking a look at. Next up, so just an article about teacher vacancies, the Nebraska seeing improving trends. I know that's the conversation that I heard from previous administration here, that it was a little bit better this past year than it has been in the past. And I know in Kansas, that was my experience as well, that it was a little bit better. There's still some areas that are really hard to find. And I know the further away you are from a college town, the harder it gets. And so you get to be on an island a little bit too much and it gets really hard. A lot of times, recent graduates will have a special friend that's still going to school that they'll want to stay close by with. So I just know that that can be a challenge here as well. Governor Pillen talking about taking over the state taking over school operating expenses. I know I think that's a great vision. I think it's a challenge getting there. I had to chuckle though, knowing Kansas finances, and they talked about how the state finances the majority of Kansas schools. And I'm like, well, that's not exactly true. I know, because in Kansas, there's a state law that each school district levies a chunk to the taxpayers of their district, and then that money goes to the state, and that's considered state aid. Well, okay, the school district levied the tax, you know what I mean? So it doesn't feel like it's state aid. It feels like, and the taxpayers see it as a levy on theirs. But and when you compare other states, it's just interesting how that goes. And then I included a very long report on school finance. The committee at the state level worked on it. That's really for your information. I don't anticipate, from what I've heard so far, drastic changes to the state finance formula, but we will continue to monitor that. And that's my report.
Okay. Next item is the strategic plan, action statement number 1.
So we've been talking quite a bit about how we enable our committees that we have to start moving forward with strategic plan work. And I know one of the areas that we really need to do is identify what's administration, what's committee work, what's district leadership team or something else. And then is one of those. And for me, not having been around when the strategic plan was developed, there's a number of items on here that I just went, okay, you're going to have to give me some background information about what was wanted from this, or I get what was wanted, but so what are we supposed to do with that information? So anyway, it was a really good process. I did a rough draft. I met with Derek for most of a day in going over this. And so I think that it's a good idea to share with you. And this kind of brings back some of the details of the strategic plan. I do plan, unless you're not interested in it, I do plan on going over one of these plans every month for the next 5 months. Keep you up to date, refresh your memory on the strategic plan, kind of what we're thinking about some of the different areas. So I'll just go over these. I'll go fast. So stop me, please, if you want more information. Blue is items that we think we've already addressed or that are better. Now, this is an item that could change. Highly qualified. We're doing very well right now with our teaching staff and having them have the appropriate education licensure for what they're teaching. And then number 2 is related to that. Like I said, that could change pretty fast, but right now we're doing really well. Green is for the committee. So evaluate the facilitation of positive and effective student-teacher relationships, explore options for students to have access to teachers. We left this to the committee, but we think that we're addressing this somewhat. The mandated reporting time, teachers have to be there 10 minutes before class starts. And so there should be time that they're able to meet with students and give a little bit of help there. And then we also have intervention time and seminar time at the middle school, high school that should be helping that situation. But that is an area that could continue to use improvement. Exploring ways to utilize staff for student support. We feel like we're making progress there, but there's still room for improvement. So that's still with the committee level. Evaluating our mentoring program, identify steps of support for the mentors in our school system. We left that with administration. Committee work, evaluating the plan through teacher evaluations and student perception. Proactively recruit qualified staff. Mr. Niss and I had quite a bit of conversation about this area. Identify where we have limited candidates, and everybody has limited candidates. 15 years ago for an elementary position in this region, there were double-digit applicants, and that's no longer the case. So this is something that is important. Grow your own programs. Transition to teach programs is an idea that needs to be explored. I have seen good things happen from that transition to teach. I've also seen candidates come out of there that they didn't seem to have an understanding of, okay, why do we do what we do? The general philosophy behind why you do what you do kind of guides you. And sometimes I was surprised in some cases how lacking that was with some applicants that I've worked with in the past. New techniques to increase the number of qualified applicants. One of the best things here is for people to use their connections, people that are tied to the school, board members, teachers, to reach out to other people when there's an opening, to try to encourage them to come here to apply. Building relationships with outside agencies. I know outside agencies have changed the way they handle things too. I had a connection at Prue State College that I was always able to pick up the phone and say, hey, do you know of somebody good student teaching in English? I'm looking for an English. And I was always able to get names. They've stopped doing that. They want you to go through the career services program. And I think it's probably because they've been inundated with people who are calling them. So something that we feel like we're doing very well right now is social media presence. I think that is being done very well. Admin, investigate area schools processes for recruiting new hires. I do think that people have some good ideas, but for the most part, we have the same problems. So something else for the committee, investigate new ways to promote Pawnee City as a community, ways to attract candidates, and admin to evaluate the program for the number of candidates for teaching positions. Retaining and quality staff. Some of our challenges, and I think I've mentioned this before, is how, and we're going to talk about the negotiated agreement later on, but how some of these things kind of tie into the negotiated agreement or compensation. And one of the things that the gentleman that helped do the plan brought up to us was it's important, especially at the committee level, to remember things that aren't in the plan aren't in there because they were intentionally not put in there. So don't try to put something in there that's not in there. And I think that that's good advice. Stay surveys for people who are going to stay here. Partnership with Pawnee City School Foundation. I think that gets into compensation a little bit, possibly. District leadership team and investigate ways to incentivize teachers. Kind of that's not compensation. So that's what that one's about. Investigate solutions to work-life balance, generational research. That is one that was at first to me. Okay, so we know there's a difference in generations. We know there's a difference in ideas about work-life balance. So what are we supposed to do with that? We have this amount of work that needs to be done. We have these positions that we need to fill. I don't know how necessarily to do that or to make that better on a generational basis. And so that is one that we're going to revisit. District leadership team, meaningful professional development. We have a lot of professional development in this district, and I think we use it very well from what I've seen from somebody being outside. And a lot of that was in place before I came here. I don't take any credit for that. It feels like it's done very well. And so I'm surprised that I haven't heard more from parents about the number of days that they have to find daycare or some other way to take care of their children when we're in a professional development day. But I can tell you, I think it's done extremely well here. Explore ways to incentivize staff to gain meaningful education, systematic onboarding procedures. We've had quite a few conversations about that, and I think there have been some steps made to improve that. Current teacher evaluation system, we've worked on that as well, but we still need to get better at using our instruments. Evaluating the plan through staff retention percentages over school years in the plan, that would be for the committee. So that is one target area. Questions, comments, anything, any areas that you feel like were misassigned that should have been done differently? Okay. That's it.
All right. On to new business, election of officers and oath of office. All right, we'll go ahead and this is our only time, and I didn't bring any sheets of paper that we can use a unanimous or anonymous votes is for election of officers. So we'll start with nominations for president, and we'll go from there.
I make a motion to nominate Jason for president.
Second it if you want it.
I'll third it. I'll need to have somebody make a motion to cease nominations and cast unanimous ballot. So if there's nobody else to,
What'd you say?
if nobody else,
Sorry, to you, that was hard.
if I'm the only one that is nominated, I need somebody to make a motion to cease nomination and cast unanimous ballot. And we'll need to do that for each one if there's only one person that gets nominated. So moved. So motion by Mark,
Are you okay with that? I'll second that.
second by Julia.
Right, the person that doesn't show up usually gets.
And then
I'm sure I came today.
we'll go ahead and we'll vote then. Hannah,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Hope is absent. Julia,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and Jason, yes. Moving on to the vice president.
Who is it? Who's even vice president?
Is Bobby.
Bobby,
Are you okay with that?
I don't care.
I'll make a motion and have Bobby as vice president.
I'll second.
I'll make a motion to cease nominations and cast unanimous ballot for Bobby as.
I'll second that.
That's right, both are just separate. Probably since they're separate nominations.
Actually, I only think you need to do the
In one.
end one.
Okay,
Yeah,
so who just did that? Sorry.
motion Mark,
Thank you. Thank you.
or no, I motion, or
You motion.
I motion Mark second.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I'm ready. We'll start with Bobby.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hope is absent. Julia,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Jason, yes. Hannah,
Yes.
motion carried unanimously. We'll go secretary.
Is that Hope right now?
That is Hope.
I'll make a motion to have Hope as the secretary again.
Make a motion to
cease nominations and cast unanimous ballot if nobody else wants to do it.
She's not here, so.
Second,
Motion Jason, second Hannah. Hope is absent. Julia,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Jason, yes, Hannah,
Yes.
Bobby,
yes.
Hope is our secretary. And treasurer
I
currently is Hannah.
make a motion to have Hannah be our treasurer.
I'll second that.
I'll make a motion to unanimously close the motions for unanimous, whatever.
Good second. Motion by Julia, second by Jason. We'll start with Julia.
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Jason, yes, Hannah,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Hope is absent. So Hannah is our treasurer. All right. So what we have in front of us is our oath of offices. Just need to fill them out and turn them in.
And with you?
Here's mine. What's here is also another step for.
It's all right.
Okay.
It's just like a very new.
All right, consider approval of board committees for calendar year 2026. I have the same as last year. Buildings and grounds, Bobby, Mark and Hope. Communications, which is mostly the Education Foundation, Jason, Julia and Hannah. Curriculum and American Civics, Bobby, Jason and Hannah. Fiscal responsibility, Hope, Mark and Julia. Negotiations, Mark, Jason and Julia. Policy, Bobby, Hope and Hannah. So I'll make a motion to approve the board committees for calendar year 2026.
I'll second.
Motion by Jason, second by Mark. I have no questions or comments, Mark. Anybody else? We'll go ahead and vote with Mark.
Yes.
Jason, yes. Hannah,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Hope is absent. Julia,
Yes.
motion carried unanimously. Review the conflict of interest policy requirements for the board members and the code of ethics policy, which is dated 2012. That is, that is this page right here. If you feel as though you have a conflict of interest,
If we don't require it, correct? Or do I still fill it out?
I think you fill it out.
And say not applicable.
Yeah.
We've
So we have
done it
to-
before. Do we do it again?
And you have to do it every year.
Well, I was told I didn't have to, right? As far as because it's not working here and stuff last team.
No, but you still need to fill it.
I felt.
Yeah, yep, yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I thought you were handing it back a bunch of times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds like you're dealing with something.
Yeah, I'm not contagious
Oh,
though.
well,
I've had it for a while.
There's a lot
I'm on
going
the
around.
side. I know, I need a lot.
Thank you.
All right, while everybody is finishing that, I'm gonna go ahead and start talking about the negotiated agreement with the PEA. Negotiated agreements for 26-27. We changed some wording in the negotiated agreement. We deleted reference. This is on page 6 in section 5, subsection B.
Let me go that.
Yeah. Sure.
there?
Yep.
No.
Which-
No, that wasn't it. No, because we just deleted the reference to that year. There, no. That's struggling. Yeah, this is. Simple. Was it here on the insurance? I don't think it's red line. Okay, the line, which subsection and which article?
Page 6, section 5, subsection D.
Section 5. Here,
There we go. So we removed for the 2023-2024 school year, just completely took it out, so we don't have to update that every year.
Mhm.
So
okay,
the number of contract days will be 185 days. Salary schedule, we increased the base salary by $900 from 41,600 to 42,500. Point 3, extra duties. We added school store supplemental of 6%. We increased the broadcasting supplemental from 2.5% to 6%. We added the preschool gold assessment tool application and implementations supplemental. This is in addition to the extended contract for home visits. We moved that up to 8%, or moved it to 8%, or added it at 8%. We increased the ticket, book, and clock personnel for home ball games. Currently $20 for 1 to 2 games per night and 25 for 3 and 4 games per night. We increased that to $40 for 1 to 2 games per night and $50 for 3 or 4 games per night. Added for provision for away games, if they're being booked, to $50 using school transportation, or $60 when they're driving their own vehicles. And then disability, we increased from $7 per month to $10 per month.
Can I ask, like, is that what they came and asked for, or was there I guess a negotiation about, like, they came and asked for more, but this is what was set up on?
They actually did ask for,
Can I ask that first of all? Sure.
basically we sat down with them and they came with us with,
What they're wanting.
what they wanted, and then we met.
We went back and we accepted some of it.
I think there was only one thing
Turned some of it
turned one thing down of what they wanted.
Or two things,
Two
yeah,
things
turned
down.
two things down, I think, what they wanted.
we look closely at the array
Yep.
of other schools and the comparison.
How do we sit for the array? As far as,
You don't want to be on the top, you don't want to be on the bottom.
Right.
We're just kind of sitting right in the middle.
okay,
And it was kind of hard because there's a lot of schools who hadn't settled. So
Sure.
where we actually finalize where we end up, we don't know for sure, but with what we negotiated, we're right.
Mhm.
Do you guys know where the rest of the school or some of the other schools ended up? You don't remember, you haven't looked at all? Okay. But generally we're right in that middle line. All right, I will go ahead and make a motion to accept the recommendations of the negotiations committee for the negotiated agreement.
I'll second it.
I don't have any additional questions. Mark, do you?
No.
Hannah, Bobby, Julia, do you have any? You go ahead and we'll vote then. Jason, yes. Hannah,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Hope is absent. Julia,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
motion carried unanimously. All right, Mr. Principal Derek Nitz's contract. That inclusion.
You wanna look at the contract, you wanna look at the AD contract?
However, yes. Whatever you have up there.
So Mr. Niss's contract previously had the AD duties in it, and I think it's a good idea to break those duties out of it. And part of that conversation is that, for an instructional leader, to be an instructional leader, he really can't be the AD at the same time. Now, our problem is finding somebody else to be the AD that's qualified to be the AD. So the proposal is to approve the two contracts. One is for Mr. Niss as the principal, and the other one is to hire him as the AD for next year. The principal contract remained the same. The AD duties are on top of that, which is what is in the negotiated agreement at $6,800. Looking at the array of other administrators, it's becoming rare for the principal to be the AD. I think there's one other one that was in our array, and that was paid on top. And so what we're looking at here for compensation is we're at the bottom end right now for compensation, I would say, for a 7 through 12 principal.
So does anybody else share AD duties with him?
So yes, we do have a part-time AD. Mr. Cluck gets one period to work on AD duties, I believe. Am I correct on that, Lisa? Okay, thank you.
Committed to his 8 hour.
Okay, thank you. So yes, there is an assistant AD.
What's his percentage?
Let me go back to the negotiated agreement.
That's listing that 4%, is that correct?
For the assistant AD,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
4%, 1,700.
So the idea is to pass it, but then try to look for somebody else to eventually take it over. Is that what you're?
I think we're just kind of splitting it right now.
Right
I don't
now,
know that
yeah.
Derek wants to do this in the future necessarily. He is doing it and will do it, but
Yeah.
this is an opportunity to kind of split the titles.
Well, yeah, and I think we do hire him for next year so that we have that. That's the biggest in the supplementals to take care of, so that we have that taken care of. But I think that we do that with the idea that we want to separate those in the future. If possible. If we don't have the right person to do that.
Do you have to have certification? Is that what it is? Or does it make, I didn't know if it was like a huge.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
Okay.
It's just a big job. He spends a whole lot of time doing stuff.
And the time is the biggest factor. The evening supervisions, it really, and it's usually not too demanding. The best situation that I've seen for this is a retired teacher / coach that loves sports and loves to spend lots of time with sports.
Because Derek has to bring pretty much his kids with him everywhere just to have family time, pretty much with
Yeah.
if we could find somebody like that, that would be perfect. Yeah.
And is it required? I mean, sometimes I wonder, like, so he could have a night off. Is it required really to go to every away game, or you know what I mean, or like a tournament like today where there should be hopefully other people from that school there?
So I've asked the same question.
Yeah.
It is a conference requirement for varsity games, or an understanding that for varsity games, you have somebody there. And I asked Derek, have they ever used teachers who have kids playing that can provide that supervision? And I know schools that have done that. They pay those people to do that. Typically, it's the hourly rate that you pay them for taking tickets and doing things like that. So
So you have to have somebody there.
Oh, you're supposed to.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Very curious.
All right, I'll go ahead and I'll make the motion to approve, accept the recommendations of the negotiations committee, for Principal Derek Meese's contracts.
A second.
Motion by Jason, second by Mark. We had our conversation before we had the motion. Anybody else have any more comments?
Just
Questions?
splitting his, like, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding, not necessarily paying, well, other than his base pay, but just splitting his contract into a principal position and an AD
Yep.
position.
We're not getting more.
Right.
Principal, you're just getting more through.
Right,
the- yeah.
right, yes, that's what I
And
mean,
there is it is an increase
because of, yeah,
by separating that out, because we left the contract the same from last year,
okay.
and then we paid supplemental separate, so that
Yeah.
is.
How
It's
do
an
you want me to
increase.
list that motion then? Just. Does it have to be, say, then separate or just the recommendation from the negotiations to
Just
each
put it
his contract?
For his contract.
Okay.
And make it plural.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, going on voting, Hannah,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes,
Hope is absent, Julia,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Jason, yes, motion carried unanimously. Consider approving the addition of a half FTE elementary special education teacher and a half FTE elementary assistant principal / lead teacher.
We talked at the last meeting about this somewhat, the possibility of adding a teacher, and what I'm trying to do with this is to accomplish some of the goals in the strategic plan. And I do think that this would improve the school. High ability learners is one of those items. This individual would help with discipline of the halftime assistant principal / lead teacher. Would have those requirements. They could be an instructional coach. They could go into classrooms. They could provide support that way. I think it would be a good thing for the district. I really do. The halftime special education position on top of that, 80% is reimbursable from special education, and part of this idea. And I do want to mention, I talked about 21st century. The proposal has $5,000 coming from 21st century. That can be a guarantee. So I don't want to mislead you at all with that. And so this has the cost of the district at $46,250. I don't know. I see this person being engaged in that. Taking $5,000 out of 16,800, whatever it was, is different than taking it out of 50,000. So I just wanted to mention that so that you understand that that's not a guarantee that will be revenue that we can count on. But for a full-time position, in the end, cost of the district, 50,000, rough figures. With the understanding, special education is a year later, so we don't get our reimbursement for special ed until the following year, but we do get reimbursement on that.
So for both positions, it would be around 50,000 a year.
With the understanding that my contract would go to 0.85,
Okay.
because we are using that's $19,500 of the revenue. If you want to call it revenue, you're kind of shifting of the revenue that would be a part of that. That includes benefits. The halftime lead teacher that is at a salary of $90,000. That's something that would have to be negotiated and approved by the board. Looking at RRA, I think that's in the ballpark of an assistant principal. lead teacher at the elementary level.
If we did do this, what would the steps be?
So what I would plan on doing, is, so we've got half a position, half a position. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna be hiring one person. So I would like to open it up internally, see if we have internal candidates for either of those positions, and then go from there on a search to the outside. Does it make sense to talk about, my contract with this in the same conversation? Because if you decide to move forward with that position with the understanding that, my contract's gonna go to 0.85, that has implications as well. So should we go ahead and talk about that too? So I did draft a contract. It's almost identical to the one that you approved last month. Differences are the salary, 110.5, that was 130 before. Duties changed, it's still 0.7 for superintendent, 0.15 for principal. It doesn't say it here, but and maybe it should, I don't know. I don't know if it needs to say it. I see this position as still being the head principal of the elementary school. Moving forward. Two other items that I wanted to mention. I want to talk about fringe benefits, because I left fringe benefits the same. So, I think that this needs mentioning because, and there is a section in the negotiated agreement. I think it says if you hire a half-time teacher, they get half the benefits. And so I think that's kind of the understanding in our district that, if somebody's a part-time person, they get part-time benefits. I left those the same, with the understanding that this position would be the lead, the head principal, although given up half the salary for the principal position. So I left, just full disclosure, I left the benefits the same way. Vacation days, that's 27 additional vacation days. That would mean by going to 0.85. So that's the differences in the contract. I did visit today with Marcia Herring. I was talking about a different subject with her, but I wanted to ask her about this. And so she encouraged the board to think about, okay, so what are some other implications, long-term implications? She asked me, do I envision the additional administrator position morphing into a full-time position? And I don't at this point. But there's no guarantees there either. I mean, that's something that I don't know if that's a risk or something that you need to be aware of. Something else is if you have a part-time superintendent and in the future you have to replace the superintendent, are you going to find somebody that's interested in being a part-time superintendent if that's still what you want? And so that's another thing that's just unknown, in moving forward with this.
What would a motion be for meeting?
So I think that this would require two motions. I think the first thing that probably would have to happen is the approve the addition of 0.5 FTE elementary special education and 0.5 assistant principal / lead teacher. That would be the first motion.
And if we did pass this, this would basically give you this, the ability to start the process.
Yes. Mhm. Then it becomes administration.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Last year it was brought up that we would split our school psychologist with Sterling
Mhm.
and that was doable and like our students wouldn't suffer. So I guess I can't help but think like if we're needing more, do we need her here all the time? Would that make a difference?
So right now we're doing 1 day a week with Sterling. So that's where that position is split. Thinking about the needs as I see them, and of course this is very subjective. I don't see that position having the skills or the background to move forward in the areas that I'm thinking of.
What areas are you thinking about?
So thinking about discipline, thinking about an instructional coach, thinking about somebody to organize and lead the high ability learner, thinking about somebody that can help with the master schedule for the elementary building, who can help manage paraeducators and the paraeducator schedule. I guess those are some of the big ones. Summer school, if there is summer school, of course, that wouldn't be part of this contract, probably. That would be for next year, if it happens for next year.
Financially, do you foresee this being able to be sustainable?
So I think I would answer that with that depends. So I did a little bit of information because I had a board member reach out to me about what overall, how big of a percentage is that? So looking at 50% certified staff is 2.86. Salary and benefits, it's 1.79%. 50% as a percentage of all staff, and that is 1.65, and with benefits, it's 1.23.
Very small fraction.
So it is. So the board approved it just right at 3% increase for teachers with their package moving forward, which is not unusual. And based upon the market, I think was a good move to make. As we look at trying to go out and hire people, we have to stay competitive. I think it's doable. There's a cost to everything. You know what I mean? It equates to dollars. It does, and I think that that's important to keep that in mind. But I think for what we will get out of this, I see it as being a positive thing. We haven't talked at all about special ed, and there's a very real special ed need in this building, and I know Mr. Martin has been a welcome addition, but I do think that that's kind of a Band-Aid. For now, he's coming over for a couple of hours, and it's really making a difference for us. But I think the potential for a revolving door in that position is very real. And that's, I don't know. we've seen from our test scores how important that position is and what it can happen to us if we don't have it. So, and I don't see our needs decreasing. Um, so
I'll make a motion to, approving the addition of 0.5 FTE elementary sped ed teacher and 0.5 FTE elementary assistant principal slash lead teacher.
I'll go ahead and second that. So it's been it's been motioned by Mark and seconded by Jason. I don't have any questions, any more comments. Mark, do you have any?
No.
Hope, or not, Hope's not here. I looked at you and said Hope. Hannah, Bobby, Julia, any more questions or?
I will say that I'm disappointed that we were asked, like you brought up, about our psychologist to give her away for a day because we were told things weren't as bad, we were handling things, and then now we're being asked to add this. And I understand, and I'm not saying it's not a need, because I know it is for our school, and I want what's best for our kids to go to school for, but I am disappointed that that happened, and now this is having to be brought up too. And I know you're saying maybe it wouldn't help to have her another day, but I just disappointed with that. I feel like maybe that could have been handled differently. So, but anyhow, that's what I have to say.
Anybody else before we go on to vote? Hearing nothing, we'll go ahead and we'll go vote. Bobby,
Yeah.
Hope is absent. Julia,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Jason, yes. Hannah,
No,
motion carried for. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve. To approve the modifications of Mr. Evans' superintendent's contract as presented.
Second.
I don't have any other questions. Mark, do you have? Sorry, I wrote this on the wrong line. Anna, Bobby, and Julia, do you have any?
no,
Okay, go ahead and voting. Hope is absent. Julia,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Jason, yes. Hannah,
yes,
and Bobby.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Approve a bid for maintenance coach for the Pawnee City track.
okay. We had asked for some clarifications. So I know, I asked Corey if he'd be available tonight. If we had any questions, we wanted to call him. He said he is. So it just interesting how he responded. When you have an alternate bid now, and Mark, you might have some background with this. I don't know. When you have an alternate bid, to me, that is the permission to deviate from what is specified in the bid. And so when he responded, as per the RFP, there would be a 2-year warranty on workmanship and materials. I don't know that that was guaranteed before. I feel better having that information from him, because it's not necessarily specified in the bid he gave us. He said the lanes and the lines and all the painting would be the same as currently exists. And all the current rubberized surfacing would be resurfaced.
Can you remind me, what do we have budgeted for this? Do you remember what?
We were thinking 80,000, I believe, and what is it? The bid is 84.
84 too.
Thank you.
So it's right in what we were anticipating.
Yeah.
When looking at what that frame.
Um, Well, that goes back to the request for proposal. We were, and when I talked with him, I asked him if we're able to approve it, can we stay within the timeline? And I forget when, in August,
I think he said August something.
Maybe August 15th. I don't remember what it was, but he indicated that they should be able to have it by then.
How long of a project is it? Do you know any idea what, like when they start to finish?
July.
I would,
and into August.
I would guess 10 days. That's a guess. And part of the time process is the drying, that they have to wait for it to dry before they can do the next step. So, but I would think they could do it within 10 days once they got started.
Yeah, I was originally thinking that it would be okay to, do a couple more years, but you told me that, the track was, already had 9 years, was it, already on it or something?
I think it was not.
Wasn't it
I
9?
think that this summer will be
Discussed it
9
was
years.
7 or something
Yeah.
originally, but it's been, this summer will be 9, I think, so it's past the,
We had resurfaced prior to that, I'm almost positive that we've done it. A resurfacing of it within the last,
I'm not aware of that. I didn't think it had been touched.
because when I started, on the board, our track was. I don't know, is it red or black now? It was the opposite of what it is now. It's black now, it was red before.
I saw the invoice or something from it. In a
2017 was
you know, when we
a
did the ground. When we had our meeting,
bid information. Midwest Tennessee track, 2017. Same salesperson. December of 2016 was the RFP. That's all the information you can find.
what year did you start, or how long have you been
This is my 10th.
there?
10th year, so that, I mean, I guess it could be, maybe. Time flies. You don't know.
From what this research I did and, looking at timelines and stuff and for usage, you know, from compare our school compared to like some larger schools and stuff. It's kind of a wide gap, I would say. 7 was probably at the low side, you know, early, and the longest was, you know, 10 or so. I thought it was 7, I thought maybe we'd get a year or 2 out of it, but if it's actually a 9, then it's probably coming to. I agree, it was probably time.
In the life.
All right, so we need a motion.
So can I make a motion to approve the bid from Revolution LC proposal they presented?
Motion by Hannah, second by Bobby. Any other comments or questions?
Is it okay if we put the dollar amount on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
4,084 too. Thank you.
Any other conversation? Okay, go ahead and we'll vote then. We'll start with Julia,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes,
Jason, yes, Hannah,
Yes.
and Bobby.
Yes.
Hope is absent. Motion is carried unanimously. The last thing on our agenda,
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
motion by Julia, second by Bobby. Mark,
yes.
Jason, yes, Hannah,
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes.
Hope is absent. Julia,
Yes.
we are adjourned at 7:38.